Hello YouTube world, my name is Nicholas Montez and you're watching my YouTube channel, Nicholas Montez. Welcome back to my YouTube channel for everybody. I'm so excited to have y'all back here together again. And in today's video, we're going to be doing another end of the month ranking with ranking all 8 films that I saw in the month of November of 2022. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started ranking all 8 of these films. Now, if I'm being honest, there's not really a movie this month that I thought was, like, bad or anything. So this movie being in last place doesn't mean it's bad. It's just the only movie that I thought was just not that great. And I mean, it was interesting. It was cool enough. It explored the swimmers, I guess. But honestly, it didn't do much for me, so it comes in last place. Alright, so now this is a film that I really appreciate. So every movie that I'm going to talk about now is pretty much a movie I really like, and Disenchanted is basically a film that's in this category, and I really do like this film. I think it's a worthy sequel to the original Enchanted from 2007, as it came out 15 years ago, just like I'm 15 years old. And, you know, of course, Amy Adams just works as this evil stepmother type character. I love the stuff that they do with all the characters when turning this normal life into a fairy tale life. I think that's actually a pretty smart way to, because the whole part of this franchise is that it's kind of like doing all these Disney stories once again, but you're doing something different with it, and kind of like you're doing stuff with Cinderella, you're doing stuff of, it's kind of like a Cinderella story, except it's with fairy tale magic, and I honestly thought that was pretty cool. So I thought it was pretty good. It's not great, you know. I did like Maya Rudolph's character in the film. I thought her and Amy Adams had great chemistry together. But overall, the movie is a successful sequel, but it's not my favorite of the movies I saw this month. Now, we get to this film, and this is actually a film that, it's kind of one of the first movies of Lindsay Lohan's career since, like, Mean Girls and Freaky Friday and The Parent Trap. And honestly, this was a great comeback for her. Now, obviously, I'm not going to say that she looks ugly, because, like, she doesn't. But she did have a lot of face surgery back when she, you know, got arrested and stuff. But, like, she actually still looks good to this day, so I'll give her that. But the movie itself is actually a pretty well little story of this girl that falls down a hill and she can't remember anything, so she makes a relationship with this guy. And overall, it's a nice little Christmas story. It's pretty wholesome, not my kind of thing, but I still did really like it, and I did like Lindsay Lohan in this film. Now, this is a movie that I really enjoyed. I just thought this just had a nice feeling, where you have this girl who is a performer and singer, and she's like a big pop star to everyone, and you kind of have this backstory of her with her mom and everything, and it's like she kind of can't really do Christmas because of what happened with her mom, and I think that's interesting. But then also, when you actually get into the relationship between the girl and the pop star singer, like, it is actually pretty wholesome. It is pretty sweet. And even when she starts, like, dating the dad and everything, it's like, the movie overall is just a sweet little Christmas film that I personally just really enjoyed. Now, this is a movie that I thought was actually pretty well done. It basically just tells the story of a mystery of who stole these Christmas bells, otherwise Christmas cannot happen. And it creates this fun mystery where you're like, who actually stole the bells? And they actually do a twist where the cop is actually the bad guy in the story, and he's actually the one that took the bells, and he framed the other guy. And so it's filled with bunches of characters that you enjoy, bunches of characters that you like the backstories of, and you actually care about them. And overall, it's just a movie that I thought was pretty well done. Now, this is a movie that I was a pretty big fan of the original Enola Holmes. This film, of course, just does what the original film did better, what the original film did, and it does it actually better, to be honest with you. And you just have a lot more fun stuff with this stuff. You actually have, like, you get more of the stuff you liked about the original Enola Holmes, but they introduce a bunch of new characters. They have a new relationship with Enola Holmes, and they even have, like, this new plot line that focuses on girls rising up. And then I think the biggest thing that really impressed me with this film, the action. The action was pretty cool. But the big thing that I loved about this film is that it probably is setting up an Enola Holmes 3 or a Sherlock Holmes film. Like a Henry Cavill Sherlock Holmes film. And, you know, part of what made this franchise so cool is that it's supposed to be a different thing that takes place in the Sherlock Holmes universe of not getting a Sherlock Holmes movie. But when you actually think about it, we have never gotten a Sherlock Holmes movie starring Henry Cavill. So that would be awesome to see, and I want to see that so much. So, this was actually a really good film, and I really want to see Henry Cavill as Sherlock Holmes. Now, if you know me, the original Christmas Story was one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time. I watch it every Christmas day because it's on for 24 hours. And when they announced that they're making a sequel to A Christmas Story and they're bringing the guy that played Ralphie back, who was also in Iron Man and Spider-Man Far From Home, just the idea of that just really excited me. And so when I watched the film, I thought it was a worthy sequel to the original film. I thought that it continued the character of Ralphie in a very interesting way, where they used the stuff that they used in the original film of him narrating the story, doing the weird flashback smiles, and somehow it's able to work in present day. Now, obviously, this movie takes place in the 1970s, so it's not in present day, but at the same time, it works as a present day film, and I really enjoy all that. And, you know, the idea of him wanting to be a writer and telling stories and trying to become a writer, and, you know, parts of this movie felt a lot like National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, where everything they tried, he always messed up. Like the kid, like his kids got knocked in the face with a snowball. One of his kids got hurt and broke his arm. His wife got her leg hurt. Like, it's not doing good. And in National Lampoon, the same thing kind of happens where the lights explode. The turkey is so dry. I mean, everything is terrible. And so I think it was actually a fun way to tell this story. And yeah, if you look on Letterboxd, it's probably not. It doesn't really say it's part of the franchise. I considered it because it is. It brings back the original characters and stuff. So overall, I really enjoyed this film, and you guys definitely should too if you're a fan of A Christmas Story. Now, if you guys know me, this is probably the biggest difficult film to make in the year of 2022. And that's because during the making of this film, we lost the great actor, the great and late Chadwick Boseman. And, you know, after everything that happened, we were like, of course, we were all grieving. We were all grieving because we loved him as Black Panther. We loved him as all the roles he played in. But one thing we got to worry about is how is Black Panther 2 going to happen? Like, you can be excited for all the other MCU projects. You can be excited for Spider-Man No Way Home, of Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. You could be excited for all those. But this film is tricky to make because we don't even know anything about it yet. And so then they released the trailers back at Comic-Con and the one from October. And once again, those trailers are flawless. They're some of the best trailers Marvel's ever given us. And somehow, they were able to actually tell a story that didn't just honor Chadwick Boseman's legacy, but it also continued the story of the original Black Panther really nicely. To kick things off, I think that the way that this movie explores the story of grief is something that I never thought you could actually do. Like, how do you take the fact that they decided to kill T'Challa off? How do you make a story that explores that's not just exploring the grief of a character, but also exploring the grief of a real person that actually died? And to me, that's so interesting, where you actually see all these characters, and that's one of the things I loved about the original Black Panther is that they didn't just take what they had left. They took what they took what they could use. I mean, they found a way to do it and used it at their best benefit, and I think they did it really well, where they took the side characters, which was one of the best parts of the original Black Panther film, and because not only the cast and the characters had such a close relationship with Black Panther and Chadwick, but they also explore how much they meant to him in this film, and I really enjoyed that, where Shuri is going through a crisis, and that, like, she's not just, like, she's just going in her technology, disappearing into her technology, but she's also, like, she doesn't believe in God, she doesn't believe in Bast, she doesn't believe in the ancestral plane, and to me, Letitia Wright's performance is great. And by the way, it's kind of crazy that Letitia Wright finally found out about the TikTok edits. If you go look it up on TikTok, you know what I'm talking about. Or if you follow her on Instagram, you know what I'm talking about. But then even then, some of the events of the original Black Panther film actually have consequences. Whether it's the stuff with Okoye getting stripped of her Dora Milaje role, M'Baku possibly becoming the next King of Wakanda and possibly the next Black Panther, or maybe when they do the M'Baku series, he's probably gonna become the official Man-Ape. Angela Bassett as Ramonda, possibly the next best performance of her career, and R.I.P. Ramonda. I like seeing Nakia in here, and plus, by the way, she's gorgeous, and they should be making more edits of her instead of Letitia Wright, because she's way more gorgeous. I like the introduction to Riri Williams Ironheart. Dominic Thorne played a great character, and I'm excited to see her in the Ironheart show. I love the introduction to Namor and the world of Talokan, and I like how it's a lot different from Atlantis and Aquaman. And then, of course, it's a Marvel movie, so you're going to have action and spectacle and humor, but at the same time, it sticks to the story that they're telling, and I love that. And Ryan Coogler is a great film director. He's one of the best directors in the MCU, so I love him for that. But I think to close out this video as it's one of the best films of Phase 4, besides Spider-Man No Way Home, I think that this movie was able to manage to, it was able to tell a story without doing cameos. That's kind of, one of the best things about Spider-Man No Way Home is that they told a story with cameos, and that was great, and they actually found a way to do cameos that made it meaningful. Where it's like She-Hulk, where you're just putting cameos all in one place with Wong and Abomination and Daredevil and Hulk and all that stuff. But this one doesn't need cameos. Yes, yet you're bringing back Ross. You're mentioning Mr. Tony Stark. But the movie is its own contained story, and that's one of the things I loved about the original Black Panther, where yes, you're continuing the character from Civil War and the stuff and you're bringing back Ross, but it's its own contained story. And yes, you have Bucky in the end credit scene, but it's their own contained stories, and I love that. So, personally for me, I love Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And also, the fact that we have Prince T'Challa still in the MCU with Toussaint, who is also Haitian, that's great. So, I loved this film, and I cannot wait for all of you to see it whenever you can, because it is great. And that's why it's my favorite film of November of 2022. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All my social media stuff is in the back section over there. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.